Hello there, this is James Uscroft, Ujames 1978, welcoming everyone to the first episode of my new podcast series, Ujames Recommends, in which in every episode I will recommend a film to a friend, we will watch it together, and then they will give us their opinion. It's as simple as that. Tonight I am joined by my good friend Miosha.
Hi!
Yes, the links to where you can find her on social media are listed down in the underbar. And as an incredible young filmmaker herself, I'm really eager to hear her opinion of the 2004 masterpiece, in my opinion, the film that, to quote one reviewer, made silence sing, Ki-Duk's 2004 film Bin Jip, Empty House, known here in English-speaking countries as 3am. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, and if for some reason, even though in the title of the video it says episode 1 and so forth, you clicked on this looking for the film itself, the film will be linked down in the underbar. But having hopefully made all of that clear, though, Miosha, having seen it for the first time tonight, what is your professional filmmaking opinion of this movie?
I thought the film was very, very well done. I really enjoyed it. So thank you for having me on to watch this movie with you.
It was a pleasure.
Kim Ki-Duk, he's an amazing director, by the way. The director, I love the fact that, that you have this drifter, if you will, who, is just, how we follow his storyline, and then he falls in love with this abused housewife, pretty much. And I love that the fact that it's not much dialogue. Yes, is what I've noticed when I first watched it, which is I thought it's brilliant. I think silent films are amazing, but I mean with not much of, we as directors tend to always have to set the audience up, like when something's happening, like explain it, but without words. I like how the director just went with just kind of imagery versus just babysitting us along with words and dialogue, which is what I like about this movie. So well done, very well done. Plot, I mean, the storyline throughout was very interesting. The cinematography was very, very well done.
Oh yes,
some of the shots were very, very cool.
Yes, I did notice the way you kept pointing out throughout the film. Wow, that's a cool shot, and yes, it's even though I've watched the film 100 times, it flows together so beautifully. It's always great to have another Ki-Duk newcomer there as well to point out, wow, look at that, because it in my mind, it all kinds of blends together like poetry, or to become part of the aesthetic whole. So someone pointing out the beauty of the individual scenes. One of my favourite shots, for example, in the entire film is just after the husband has bribed the corrupt detective and is about to take his revenge. The camera is pointing at a puddle on the ground.
Yeah.
And we see the husband walking towards him, in that puddle before he drops the golf ball next to it. That's just so beautifully done. And that's the thing. There are as you say, Kim Ki-Duk is a truly masterful director. There are so many amazing shots throughout this movie. And there
are. Amazing shots.
That's the thing. It's like saying there's amazing brush strokes in it. I would argue that's like saying there's amazing brush strokes in a painting. Because if you're a great artist, amazing brush strokes is what you do. If you're a great director, then great shots is what you do. It's like
Exactly. And I love too about the film is that he a lot of things that like the part where I think there was the scene where when she rips up the picture.
That's the thing. She doesn't rip it up. She cuts it
Oh,
up
she cuts
very
it.
carefully.
Yeah,
very
that's right.
professionally, and then rearranges it. We both agree that that's to show how broken she is on the inside, but that just shows the subtle poetry of it. If she, as I mentioned while we were watching the film, if she just ripped it up, she doesn't have any rage left inside her. She's numb. She's dead. So that's really reflected in the scene. And,
there's a lot of shots like that in the film, though, like that those things where you're like, why did he shoot this way? Why did he use the golf club instead, to hit the guy instead of hitting him? But I like how you pointed out in the film, like, instead of just going, full blast rage mode on the guy and punching him, he wanted it's more of a cinematic and more of a poetic feel that you get from just him, hitting the husband.
Yeah, hitting him with the golf balls. Yeah, it's more poetic. It's more symbolic rather than just whacking him over the head with the 3-iron.
Exactly.
Yeah, and one thing you noticed, we talk about how this is a mostly silent film because the male protagonist does not speak at all once, and the female protagonist only speaks twice towards the end. The 2 lines, "I love you" and "breakfast is ready." But it isn't a silent film because one thing we mentioned is the music.
Right.
Yeah, I think the term you used was interesting. So the fact that the Drifter carries this CD around with him and it's the background music essentially for the whole film. How do you think that worked? Did it weave itself well into the fluid poetry of the film, or did it stand out?
I think it weaved itself well. Mm-hmm. I think so. I really do. I think it's very brilliant.
Yes. That's the thing. I've talked about this film so many times before. I'm searching around, looking for things to ask, looking for things to say. Is there anything else that really struck you about the film? Anything that you'd like to discuss?
I like that you mentioned about the end, about that she just said "I love you" and then the breakfast is ready. Yeah, that's pretty much all she said. And then you're right. When I think about it, the guy didn't say anything.
He. In many of Kim Ki-Duk has. There's always some level of silence. Korean cinema, there's always silence. It's always show don't tell to some extent. Many of Kim Ki-Duk's films, there is a normal amount of dialogue, but not many. I can only really think of one. But there is the amount of dialogue varies from film to film. In this one, for example, the husband, the cop, the son of the dead old man. They all talk, so on and so forth. The husband and wife who owned the beautiful kind of Zen garden. But the 2 protagonists, not talking, the fact that the film revolves around them. And then there's on the opposite extreme, there's a film like Mobius, where nobody talks at all. Not a single cast member once in the entire film.
Wow!
But
he keeps it going, huh?
Oh yes, it's still everything you need is right there. He tells the story perfectly, without any dialogue, any speech whatsoever. But although Mobius, I would say, is still great. I do agree with the reviewer that I mentioned in the introduction that this is the pinnacle. It's the perfect balance. Because, as the reviewer said, in this one, he makes silence sing.
Yeah.
I'm afraid, you wouldn't be able to make this is just me gushing. You wouldn't be able to make a judgment call on that until you've seen his other films.
Interesting. What I did notice too about this one though is I love the golf ball. Like the golf balls were like a type of that he really liked playing golf. And what I noticed too is that it was almost the whole when he was in jail, he practiced golf, with almost like it's like he's learning the technique of the ball, of how to be, and just disappear, and those elements of not the because he's in the
confinement,
just being by himself in that room, confinement. Yeah, sorry, thank you. And being in that room by himself, that he masters the
art of ninja stealthiness, or whatever we call it.
Yeah. But I think the ball has something to do with it as well. The fact that, because it can, when you hit it goes left, right. He always uses the ball for just that golf ball for some reason. I think that has something to do with the whole gift of disappearing, not being there.
So yes, we talked about how silly it is in that they call it 3-iron rather than just empty house. But yes, talking to you and watching the film again. It's that the golf does seem to be an important symbol in the film. It's not. It's not just. So many times I've watched this film and thought, "Oh, golf is incidental." But listening to you talk about that, how the golf ball is an important symbol, even though I can't quite understand it, I can't quite put it into words. That's giving me serious food for thought, and this is something that I mentioned watching the movie with you, that even though I've seen it 100 times, especially watching it with other newcomers to Kim Ki-Duk in the past, other people's insights, other people's way of looking at it, because it's so visual. Because we're always trying to figure out what the people are thinking, what people are feeling, what does this mean?
Exactly.
There's always a new perspective. There's always a new angle to explore. So yes, I still ask what. I don't think the people who were in charge of naming the English language release called it 3-iron because of some deep philosophical reason. They just thought, no, nobody's going to buy a film called Empty House. So,
right, exactly.
But yeah, it's not a reason to dismiss the whole golf aspect of it.
Yeah, and then it just, I don't know. I really like how, because I mean, as you know, I did a project kind of similar to the point of there's really not much dialogue, and I love the fact that you can pull off a great film with not much dialogue, with it just being imagery and that the images tell the story and not just the dialogue. So it is possible to make a movie where it's very interesting and it's thought provoking and you're just there on the edge of your seats, wow, I didn't have to be babysat with dialogue to watch a film, which is what American movies do. We always have to seem like we have a bunch of dialogue and remember all these lines, and it'll be a good movie. But
yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that first, because I'm so sick of being accused of hating America or being prejudiced against American cinema because I'm pointing out that no, they babysit us, they spoon feed us. They are so terrified of us missing the slightest detail that they shove it in our faces. When the work of Kim Ki-Duk and other Korean directors shows the point is to engage us, to get us to keep asking questions, watching films over and over again, instead of just passively receiving the story and then forgetting about it as soon as it's done.
Right. Exactly.
Excuse me.
Yeah, because I was just talking to he's a writer friend of mine. I did a project kind of I don't explain exactly, particularly in the scene there's a gun. You see the gun on the table, and the next minute you don't see it. But I don't want to explain where the gun went. I don't think I have to say, hey, I picked up the gun or the gun disappeared. I don't want to just babysit. I kind of want it to be where the images tell the story.
Exactly.
So that's, And the writer was like, no, you have to tell them because no one's going to understand. So we did this whole thing where we showed people what their interpretation was, and they were like, well, I didn't notice that, because half the time I believe most people, when they watch a movie, they don't really watch for details. I mean, the average movie goer,
Yes,
but the ones that are like, you and I.
Yeah, I was actually told once that someone did comment once that, oh, James, your love of Korean cinema has really prepared you for this kind of film. We were watching a film at the time called Solaris, a Soviet film from, I think it's the 1970s, set in the future. And everyone's so confused by the intro, but I was going, no, this happened, then this happened, and the reason for it is this, and now that it's... So I'm just explaining the first hour to the other people who are watching it going, what? No,
right,
that's the thing. There's this old cliche that Americans are stupid. Unfortunately, but no, it's not. It's just that TV and movies in America train you to be lazy.
Yeah, we're conditioned.
Yeah. Oh God! The number of Americans who would rather the joke about Americans who would rather die than watch a film with subtitles. No,
my God! Exactly. Yeah, I've heard that so many times. Yeah, it's so true.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, if you actually put a bit of thought and effort, it's the concept of the games like Brain Trainer for Nintendo and stuff like that. The brain is a muscle. Use it or lose it.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
You've got to pay attention, ask questions, be moved and inspired by things. But we've moved from talking about the film to talking about to critiquing American society. So I think it's about time to wrap.
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just thinking. I was just saying about the film. What I do like about the director is that I'm glad that he made this movie, is because this is not just for it's just a movie. It's a piece of art, I believe.
Absolutely.
This is a very artistic movie, and he really nailed it. And I can't wait to check out his other stuff. This guy's brilliant.
That's what I'm really grateful to hear that, because that's what I was going to ask you to wrap up this film. So, Miosha, are you interested in his other work, in Kim Ki-Duk's other work? And the answer from you, I assume, is a resounding yes, thumbs up.
Yes, of course. Yeah, he's great.
Just in case anyone else listening to this podcast, watching the film Links Down in the Underbar, has the same reaction, just be warned, though, that many of Kim Ki-Duk's films, they're not graphic in the terms of being explicit or gratuitous, but they deal with things like rape, forced prostitution, self-mutilation, murder. It's not family viewing. So I would recommend that you learn about the film. Message me if you have any questions or comments about this film, any particular film, and I will do my best to let you know, because I don't want you to be scared off Kim Ki-Duk because you watch a film and go, yeah! Turn off, run away, burn the DVD. So I hope that you will love at least some of Kim Ki-Duk's other work as much as you love Three Iron. There was a reason, of course, why I started with this, because I do think that this is the pinnacle of his career.
Really?
Well, not pinnacle, but in many ways, it's the film that really came together the best. I don't want to put the other films down. I don't want to put his other films down in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But whilst other films are dealing with other things, coming at it from different angles, There's a reason why this is, as far as I'm aware, his most popular, his most famous film, because this is the one where I think he really nailed it. Like I said before about the balance between silence and dialogue. So this is where he nailed the balance between on the one hand showing the domestic violence and rape, but on the other hand not scaring people away with it. Yes.
Right. It's not too much. It's real. It's raw. It's what really happens in a lot of people's lives. So I like that he's not scared to show those sides of real life. This real stuff that we deal with.
I did actually once make a film saying, because Kim Ki-Duk is so widely condemned as a misogynist, someone who glorifies in rape and exploitation and domestic violence and so on and so forth. Because his films show it. They don't judge, they don't condemn, they just say this is reality. So for years I was always scared. Is this the film is this the film where he's going to bottle out, going to soften it or sterilize it? And then in 2012, he released the film Pieta, and I said, Kim Ki-Duk, why did I ever doubt you? But then in 2014, he released One-on-One, and I thought, Kim Ki-Duk, what happened?
Really?
Yeah, he didn't necessarily bottle out, but that's a story for another podcast.
Interesting.
What happened? But as I say, I think it's about time to wrap things up. So, do you have any more thoughts or observations or scenes that you'd really like to praise before we say goodbye?
I just think it's a very, very nice masterpiece film. I could go on more, but we'll wrap it up. But it's a great film.
Yes,
definitely. Glad I got to watch it.
Yes, I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to share it with you as well. And so, until next time, everyone, thank you very much. Thank you, Miosha, once again for being with us in this time. And until next time, everyone, annyeong.